Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I hope you guys had an awesome Thanksgiving. Mine was filled with a lot of traveling and warm weather in the south. So unless you've been living under a rock in the last 24 hours, you know that the internet, Facebook, Instagram, everything is getting blown up by the new Jeep Gladiator. Jeep hasn't made a truck since 1992, which was the year I was born, so 26 years Jeep has not made a truck, and they finally came back out with one. And man, does it look good. Not only was it everything that we expected it to be, basically a Wrangler with a truck bed on the back of it, a couple different models, Sport, Sport S, Rubicon, and so forth. We can't really act like we're all that surprised because of all of the leaked photos that were online. Sure, it was covered up with like black tarps and stuff like that, but still, fact of the matter is nobody was really fooled. You knew it was only a matter of time before Jeep came back out with a truck. They said they heard everybody's voices, Facebook, on Instagram, all the blog posts, and now we have finally annoyed them to the point where they had to make a truck. Now, I'm not one to spread negativity. I'm actually kind of a glass half full kind of guy, but there were a few things that were worth noting that Jeep did not talk about. Now that the Gladiator is set to take on the midsize truck market, taking on the likes of the Canyon, the Colorado, the Tacoma, there are some things that those trucks have that the Gladiator doesn't seem to have, and it's worth mentioning. Before I get to that, we are actually on our way to the car wash. I currently don't have a pressure washer at my house, so this is something that pretty much everybody has access to. It's one of these ready washes or touchless car washes. Basically, you rent a little booth here and you pay to wash your car down. Now, I'm not on my way to actually wash my Wrangler. What I'm going to do is wash the underside of it. Being here in Ohio, everybody gets super worried after the first snow. So before the first snow even happened, and I think like a day or two later, they actually salted the roads really heavily. So I'm gonna try and get ahead of it, but also try to prevent some corrosion that's going to happen in the undercarriage with all the suspension components, the frame, and anything in the underbody, as well as the wheel wells, wheels, and that kind of stuff. So it's something you kind of want to do when the roads are dry in the winter. I know that doesn't always happen, but when the snow melts during the day and the roads are dry because they've been driven on, it's worth popping over here, spraying everything off really, really good. And if you haven't actually undercoated your Jeep in any way, this will help prevent some of that corrosion from the road salt. All right, we are all set there. Like I said, it was just gonna be a quick wash. I was really just getting my suspension and undercarriage, so I really just needed the pressure washer with the soap and then the rinse. I don't even bother with the brush. I usually bring my own if I ever use one of these, because people that use that, you never know what's inside those bristles. There could be rocks in there. There's probably a whole bunch of salt all up in there. For all I know, there could be razor blades in there. It's going to scratch the heck out of your paint. And that is something I definitely don't want to do because I love my Mojito paint. All right, now that we're back inside where it's nice and warm, I'm gonna go over the few things that I noticed that the Jeep Gladiator is lacking. First off, it's going to compete in the midsize truck segment. That's very obvious. That means it's going to compete with the Tacoma, the GMC Canyon, the Chevy Colorado, Ford's new entry into the mid-size truck segment, which is the Ford Ranger that they have brought back. So no doubt that the segment is expanding a lot in the next couple of years, which also means a lot of competition. So a few things that I noticed that they weren't talking about, some of the smaller things that I noticed were the lack of color choices. So that seems like a pretty small thing to note. It's something that I've talked about before. I believe Wrangler should be bright, fun. I'm kind of sick and tired of a lot of the grayscale cars that are out there. Black, white, gray, silver. that kind of stuff. I really like to stand out. That's why I ordered a Hella Yella and I ordered a Mojito, because I wanted to see both of them in person. I'm noticing that the Gladiator has a lot more dulled colors. They will be offered in Pumpkin, which they are bringing back. Hydro Blue, which is a JK color, they are also bringing back. And the Bright Red, which is, you know, it's pretty much a standard at this point. They are bringing back Gobi, which is kind of like a tannish color, black, white, silver, and also a new color called Gator, which is a very dark army green, almost olive drab green. So across the board, pretty mute colors to kind of cater toward the truck market. Not a lot of people want super bright, obnoxious trucks like Ryan's, Cummins, which is Hills Green. Overall, I think it's a smart move. They kept a few bright poppy colors, Hydro Blue, Pumpkin, and Firecracker Red. But besides that, they kind of have dulled tones, a dark green, dark tan, white, silver, black. But generally they're pretty dulled and they're not going to have any bright Wrangler colors, which some see as a huge plus, especially that Gator clear coat. A lot of people that I talk to say there should be a standard army green color, and I'm hoping this is going to be the one that they will keep around for a while, as well as that Gobi tan. Now, getting into some of the bigger things that I noticed. First thing right off the bat, I was really hoping for a two-door version of this truck. I think a standard cab would be absolutely awesome. Not only that, but Jeep's heritage is a two-door Wrangler. I think they should have had at least one other option in door size. A lot of the competition has either extended cab or single cab as well. Now, this is another thing catering to the truck market. You're going to see a lot more crew cabs on the road than any other type of cab. It's just something that I would have liked to seen was a single cab with the same bed size. And there might always be that option in the future for them to release a two-door. But right now it looks like they're just sticking with the crew cab. So since I have a degree in graphic design, I decided to mock one up for myself just to see what I might be missing out on. So here it is. This is just a quick rendering in Photoshop that I made. Honestly, I think it would be nice to have like a little tiny truck to whip around town in. Nice short wheelbase. You won't get hung up on any rocks with a long undercarriage or anything like that. Obviously, it's going to limit the amount of passengers you can have, but I think it looks awesome. Honestly, it's going to pretty much fit anywhere you need to put it. But it had to be said. Somebody had to say it. It needed to be a two-door. Speaking of cab size, that's another thing I wanted to bring up was bed size. There was no mention of another bed size. It looks like there's going to only be one standard bed size at the release. A lot of the mid-size truck competition that they're looking at or aiming at has a few different size beds. Some have 5.5 foot beds, some have 6.5 foot beds. Either way, there is usually another option for bed size, but it looks like they opted to only stay with one bed size. Again, something that may change in the future, but looking at the specs of the Gladiator, it does look like it's pretty long as is, and a lot of people have already started complaining or pointing out that this does look very long, but it's just something that you probably have to just get used to. It's not every day that you just see a Wrangler with a truck bed on it, unless you live in an area where somebody has like an AEV Brute or something like that. The final thing I wanted to talk about was the thing that everybody is probably most excited about. Not only did Jeep come out with a truck after 26 years, which is almost 3 decades, but they also came out with a truck with a diesel engine. Now, it's not going to be available at launch, but this is the problem I have. Now, if anybody is familiar with the Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram products, they actually did have an eco diesel out for a while. It was in the Grand Cherokees as well as the 1500s. Not only are you going to get a bunch of torque with a diesel engine, but you're generally going to get better fuel economy. I'm hoping that they're going to put them back into the Grand Cherokees. That's something that my wife, I know, would love to have, is a diesel Grand Cherokee. But why am I bringing this up? Well, I'm bringing this up because they did used to have a diesel engine option, but they got rid of it because there were so many problems. Personally, I know of at least 3 people that have had the Grand Cherokee with the diesel option, and each one of them has had to replace that engine. One of them I know for sure pretty much just ran itself into the ground and blew up. The other 2, I'm not 100% sure what had went wrong, but they did need to replace the engine. I'm really hoping Jeep and Fiat kind of found a way around this and finally made a diesel engine that is more reliable than the one that they used to have in the Grand Cherokees and the Ram 1500s. The whole color thing I can get around. You can wrap it, paint it, whatever. It's just gonna cost a little bit extra. The diesel thing, we're just gonna have to wait and see. Obviously those aren't gonna be out until 2020, so hopefully by then everything's figured out, no more issues, and everybody can get a diesel in a Jeep. Other than those few things that I mentioned, absolutely love the Gladiator. I've been waiting my entire life for Jeep to come out with a truck. Not only that, the standard transmission is 6-speed manual in the V6. So that's awesome that they even kept that around. But like I said, I'm a glass half full kind of guy. Absolutely love everything else about the Gladiator, and I can't wait to see one in person. Hopefully I'll be able to get my hands on one fairly quickly after they start coming onto the market and get you guys an up close and personal look at the Gladiator. Thank you guys again for tuning in. If you have not been here before, get down there, hit subscribe. If you haven't heard, at 5,000 subscribers, I'm giving away a blackout grill for a JK. Be sure to hit me up on Instagram at MojitoOhio. I'll be starting to post a lot more pictures there as I start to get more parts in, and you guys can follow more closely along with my personal Jeep and build of my Mojito Rubicon. Other than that, glad to be back from the holidays. Let's start posting some more videos and more content for you guys. If you made it this far into the video, thank you for sticking around, and we'll catch you in the next one.